ये रेडियो पाकिस्तान पॉडकास्ट है।
This is Radio Pakistan podcast and I'm your host Ali Jannat. Today we have a very special guest, Spokesperson Foreign Office, Mr. Asim Iftikhar Ahmed Saab is joining us, and thank you very much sir for your precious time, and thanks indeed that you spare time for Radio Pakistan podcast. The international community is now reacting to the violation we have seen and we have observed in Jammu and Kashmir, and where human rights violation keep on going, and this issue is being raised in OIC, as you rightly said, in European Union and the parliaments of the different countries. What would be the impact you can see and you can observe after all this development? Because Indian forces, they are keep on doing their projects.
Yes, I think two things need to be clear in this. The issue of Jammu and Kashmir, it is primarily on the agenda of the UN Security Council. It is the UN Security Council resolutions that define the framework, that stipulate how this issue has to be resolved. It is the responsibility, we keep on emphasizing this point, that it is the primary responsibility of the UN Security Council and its permanent members to push for a resolution in accordance with the resolutions of the Security Council. Now, in order to build that pressure, that momentum, we approach other actors in the international community. And as you mentioned, OIC is a part of that. European Union is a part of that. There are many other regional and sub-regional organizations where we raise this issue. And as I see, I think there is a lot of success that has come our way as a result of our outreach, very wide outreach, our campaigning and talking and engaging the important members of the international community. And what we are saying is that apart from the legal and political and the peace and security dimension of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute, which is of utmost concern to the international community, one aspect stands out, and that is the human rights violations. The widespread persecution and atrocities being committed by Indian occupation forces, war crimes, crimes against humanity, acts amounting to genocide. These are very serious, kind of actions that the Indian occupation forces are taking in the occupied territory. And from the human rights perspective alone, from the humanitarian perspective alone, this deserves serious attention of the international community. So we are encouraged that this aspect of human rights has been taken up. You would have followed the debates the discussions and briefings that have taken place in various parliaments, in congresses,
Yes.
US, the United Kingdom, the European Union and others. And obviously, the great support that we continue to get from the OIC, this has actually helped in highlighting that Kashmir issue is there. It needs to be taken attention of, and kind of indicating to the principal body, as I mentioned, to the UN Security Council, that steps should be taken to move in a direction where this issue, this long outstanding dispute can be resolved.
Alright, let's talk about India. The Indian government's propaganda of Hindutva in India is making life difficult not only for the Muslim but as well for the non-Muslim as well. So do you agree that this situation would be dangerous not only for India but for the whole region as well?
Look, it's not mere propaganda. It's a clearly defined, deliberate policy of the BJP government, which is inspired by the RSS ideology, is fascist and motivated by Nazism. And this entire concept of Hindutva and Hindu Rashtra is built around this idea, and this is what they are propagating with full force, is that India is for Hindus, basically, and others, minorities, if they are to be there, they have to be subservient, not equal citizens. This is the impression that we are getting, and this is the impression that the international community is getting, and I think this is a very dangerous trend. This has been noticed by the international community. It seems that there is a significant slide in India's so-called democratic and secular credentials, and the international community has been watching this. You would have seen mainstream international media has focused on these aspects. There's a lot that has been written on it, and the situation on ground is becoming ever more serious with passage of time, and this is the unfortunate aspect of it. I think a lot of it has got to do with how politics is conducted in India. This is part of the election campaigns, and it seems that the Hindutva and the Hindu supremacy is a tool in the hands of BJP, RSS to secure more votes, but this is at the cost of the minorities in India, in particular the Muslims, which are a significant minority, over 200 million, and in recent months you would have seen reports which inform that, keeping the Muslims aside, there is a significant escalation in hate-based and religious-based attacks against Christians and others in India. So I think this is a very dangerous situation. It has been taken note of by important organizations, human rights organizations, humanitarian organizations. You would have followed what the President of Human Rights, the Genocide Watch, Mr. Gregory Stanton, had to say about the risk, the serious risk of genocide in India. And obviously, if things, God forbid, move in that direction, this is going to have serious consequences for the region, and Pakistan and other neighboring countries, and even beyond, are, I think, looking at it with a lot of concern.
So let's talk further about Pakistan relation with its neighboring countries. Firstly, Afghanistan. Sir, what is your reaction on Pakistan efforts towards relation with its neighbors, especially when we talk about Afghanistan? So, especially Pakistan's role in addressing humanitarian crisis in Afghanistan. What do you say about that?
There is a history behind Pakistan-Afghanistan relations. The significant part of it, and the thing that I think needs to be underlined, and I think it is now being increasingly acknowledged and better understood, that peace and stability of Afghanistan directly impacts peace and stability in Pakistan. So basically we are interlinked, intertwined, and it is for that very reason that Pakistan has always wanted a peaceful and stable Afghanistan, because anything to the contrary, and that we have seen over the last 4 decades, conflict and instability in Afghanistan, it has had a devastating impact on the Afghan people. But the country that is most directly next to, after Afghanistan, most directly impacted is Pakistan. It's the people of Pakistan who have suffered to a great extent. We have offered sacrifices because of the instability in Afghanistan. So this needs to be understood that Pakistan is all for a peaceful and stable Afghanistan, and this explains our approach towards Pakistan. We have always said that there is no military solution, there was no military solution, and there has to be a political settlement, there has to be a national reconciliation, and we always stood by that, and this was our advice to the international community. What happened in August and post 15th August situation in Afghanistan, although this is not what I think Pakistan was expecting or the international community was expecting, maybe even the Taliban were not expecting that, but this is what happened. There should have been a sequenced and organized transition which did not take place. Anyway, we had to deal with it. We had to deal with the situation as the immediate neighbor and concerned about the consequences of instability in Afghanistan. Pakistan had to play a role, and I think we have played this role in a very constructive manner. We realized that we need to inform and engage the international community to make them understand that it is time to engage with the Afghan authorities. It is not time to abandon. And this was a mistake that was done in the past. So this was our main, point that we took up with the international community. We recommended, we advised that there should be positive engagement. And then as the situation evolved, it appeared that Afghanistan was heading towards a major economic and humanitarian crisis. So that was something I think that provided us an opportunity and opening to mobilize this international engagement with Afghanistan. We put forward this point of view that leaving aside the political and other human rights and other concerns, but they are important, they need to be tackled, but the humanitarian situation is imminent, it's urgent, that needs to be addressed. So I think it is on that basis that we encouraged the international community to engage with the new Afghan authorities. As you recall, we took the initiative. We thought that the regional countries, especially the immediate neighbors of Afghanistan, should play a key role, a leading role. So we mobilized, we got together the 6 neighboring countries of Afghanistan, the 6-country format, and this has been very successful. I think there is consensus now in the region and beyond amongst our international partners that yes, there is a need to engage with Afghanistan, and particularly with the view to addressing the humanitarian situation there.
Yes. Do you think that the Pakistan stance, Pakistan position on Afghanistan is being recognized internationally?
I think it's not only Pakistan's position. Now, as I was saying, that we have been able to get together and mobilize the regional countries, and we did it successfully. We engaged other international partners. So you saw that apart from the 6-country format meetings that have taken place, we had the Troika Plus.
Yes.
So that brings together US, China, and Russia together with Pakistan. We have been engaged in other formats like the Moscow format, and then we went a step ahead. We organized, as you recall, a special ministerial session of the OIC focusing on the situation in Afghanistan, and that was held in December in Islamabad, and it provided a wider platform that brought together not only the Islamic world but other key actors and stakeholders and partners from the international community to focus and deliberate on the situation in Afghanistan. So I think we've been able to mobilize this attention. Our message has been heard. There is a lot of receptivity, and there's a lot of consensus now among the regional countries and major partners that yes, there has to be a change of approach, and that it is time, and there is some urgency to help Afghanistan address the immediate humanitarian concerns, and for that, constructive engagement is the way forward.
Yes. Let's move further. What will be an impact of a managerial conference being hosted by Pakistan in March 2022?
Well, this is the 48th session of Council of Foreign Ministers, ICFL of OIC, which Pakistan will have the honor to host. This is a very significant event that is coming up, and just to note that it is also coinciding with the 75th anniversary of independence of Pakistan. So it's a great honor, and it will be a big occasion for Pakistan to be leading the OIC at this particular point in time. There are many issues as you look around the region and beyond globally. There are many issues that require attention and serious consideration by organizations like the OIC, and we feel that with Pakistan's leadership role, the traditional historic role of Pakistan in OIC and globally also, and as a leading country in the Islamic world and developing world, Pakistan is in a good position to steer these important discussions that will be part of the ICFM on 22nd and 23rd of March in Islamabad. Amongst these, there will be political issues, economic and development issues, cooperation on science and technology, for example, is very important for the Islamic world. All of these will be deliberated. There will be important decisions and outcomes of this conference. Traditionally, OIC has been very much focused on the Palestinian issue, similarly on the issue of Jammu and Kashmir, the issue of minorities, Muslim minorities around the world, and there are other issues that are of global importance to which Pakistan in particular has been on the lead. For example, Islamophobia and many other issues, which I think Pakistan will be driving this process, and we are preparing for it in a big way, and we are hopeful that this will be a successful organization, and the entire Islamic world will come together to give a common, united message from the OIC on these important issues.
All right. How do you see the Pakistan and China relation, especially in the context of regional connectivity? And what is the significance of Prime Minister visit of China?
Well, China is a special friend of Pakistan. We have historic relationships. We have this comprehensive strategic partnership, all-weather strategic cooperative partnership with China. And I think there's no other relationship, that could be quoted as a comparison of Pakistan-China relations. And this has been a very, significant aspect in the foreign relations and foreign policy aspects of Pakistan. We are very committed. The political leadership of both China and Pakistan are very committed to take this comprehensive strategic partnership forward and to new heights. And there is a main reason for this, and that is that this relationship and this partnership is for mutual benefit of the two countries, and it is strongly supported by the choices and the desires of the people of the two countries. So I think this is the driving force behind Pakistan-China strategic partnership. And the manifestation of that you see from time to time, and it's on a continuing basis. Prime Minister's visit to China is a recent example. He's there to participate in the opening ceremony of the Beijing Winter Olympics. It's a show of solidarity with China, and the visit also provides a good opportunity because ever since COVID came in, it's been more than 2 years. So this is after 2 years that there's a face-to-face interaction. In fact, this is the 4th visit of the Prime Minister to China, and this will be an occasion to renew and reaffirm Pakistan-China friendship, and to have a deeper exchange of views on how to take our bilateral cooperation forward, how to take the CPEC forward, and how are we looking at the regional situation, the global issues of importance, and how Pakistan and China will continue to cooperate and coordinate their positions and support each other on issues of core national concern. So this is the significance of this visit. We are hopeful that the engagements between the leadership will provide fresh momentum to our friendship.
Yes. Lastly, tell us about the Foreign Office steps is being taken to address the problem is being faced by the Pakistani students over there in China.
Well, I think this is something that is related to China's policy of effecting a very strong control over trying to control the spread of COVID in China, and there are strict travel regulations that are in place. As a result of that, many students from all over the world, they have not been able to travel back to China. We have been in contact with Chinese friends both here in Islamabad and in Beijing, and there have been discussions at the highest levels on this issue, and we are very confident that this issue is going to be resolved. This is something that I think needs to be explained, that this is not anything specific to Pakistan. None of the students from any other South Asian or Asian countries have gone back to China because of the COVID regulations. We understand that our Chinese friends are reviewing the arrangements and the mechanisms to see how the regulations will be relaxed. We have exchanged a list of students with the Chinese side. We have prioritized. There's a prioritized list of students as well, and I'm sure that as soon as the Chinese government takes a decision to relax these conditions and to move forward, the return of Pakistani students to China will be prioritized, and we are hopeful to see positive movement on that in the coming weeks.
Yes, thank you very much. It was a very nice discussion, and thanks indeed that you spared time for Radio Pakistan podcast, and that's it from Radio Pakistan podcast.
ये रेडियो पाकिस्तान पॉडकास्ट है।